Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal Food, Wine and Good Times Club for a very special tasting on this, the 4th of December, 2023. And it said in the titles there, if you were looking closely, Cole Munson and Gary Austin. And it turns out this evening, let's give him a nice big round of applause. He likes a big warm hand on his opening. Let's welcome to the screen
my children.
Not the Gary Austin, but the Terence Austin. Good evening. What are you doing here?
I was told, I was given instructions to get down here.
Yeah.
Right. And be on the show tonight with you. Right. Obviously, to aid and abet your performance. Because, you know.
It needed it.
It needed
it. Basically, let's be honest. It needed it.
You think about a leaking tyre, okay? You know.
What? The old showbiz leaky tyre. Is that what you're thinking, mate?
This is my I'm here to energize you, to bring you happiness, and smile away, and just generally be a pleasant person.
And now, for those people who think we're not in the same room, should we just touch fingers in a kind of ET sort of way?
How would you know?
It's like it could be a David Blaine.
Darling, you bring your hand over here. Yeah.
What's that a hand?
That was a false hand.
Stay where you are. Otherwise, you might fall off that
mechanical false hand.
Don't fall off your stool. We'll leave that mystery hanging there and bring the other Austins on. Yay! Evening to you. How are you?
Yeah, good.
How Central Portugal?
We're all breathing. We're all still here, so that's got to be good, isn't it?
All breathing, all still here. Excellent. Well done. We also have, because we're going to wait and bring on our guest of honor, our host for this evening, last but not least. We seem to have the Orcs of Orca here as well. Pete and Diane, good evening to you.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Thank you for being here. It's rumours that the Doc and Leona might join us too. Were you attracted here because of the Madeira and the Fizz this evening?
Oh, definitely. And we've been missing you because we've had language classes every Monday for like the last 6 months. So it's awesome to finally get back together with all of you.
Yes, congratulations on that. Yeah, congratulations. Well done. That's quite an achievement, isn't it, to complete the A2 in the way that you have done. And I'm taking it you're both successfully.
Yeah, we have, but we're not very good. We might be successful in passing, but our Portuguese is still pretty rubbish, to be fair. But there you go. It's only you only have to attend 90% of the lessons. You don't need to. Our final exam, she had all the answers written on the board, and we still did really badly. So it was quite a shock, to be honest.
Wow. Okay. Well, no, it's taking part that counts. Clearly,
it is indeed. Yeah. Like this show, it's fun.
Yes, yes, it is. And you're very lucky to have here this evening to help you with your Portuguese. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. It's a Senor Miguel Carvalho as well joining us.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us. What on earth possessed you to turn up and join us this evening? It's very good of you.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Hope I can add something to this podcast.
I'm sure you can. And we'll call on you, if we may, to be our expert on Portuguese culture and tell us more about the things that we love to find out about on this show that we do every month. So thank you so much, Miguel, for being here. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Also, can I just put in a footnote here about Miguel?
Yeah.
He's such a hit with the ladies.
Is that right?
Honestly.
So a few tips we can pick up there as well.
He doesn't know this.
Right.
He pretends not to know, but he's just, they love him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's tall, suave.
Yeah,
sophisticated.
Yeah,
I hate him.
Right. Yeah. I did sense a certain amount of bitterness as you were saying all of that. Okay. Well, what an introduction, Miguel. It was so great to have you here. And last but not least, it's the Whitbys, I believe, in Villarreal de Santo Antonio in the south of Portugal this evening. Let's put them centre stage where they belong. Our host this evening, and you suggested our pairing this evening, not a pairing of wine and food, but a pairing of two kinds of alcohol. Tell us how you are, first of all. How are you, Michael and Catherine?
Well, actually, we're just, as you know, we're in a bit of a panic because I've been working on the principle that this was always a 9:00 event because we were gone for 8 months when you changed it.
Yes. And you got the message to say, where are you at 2 minutes to 8 this evening?
I was playing around with trying to switch snapshot onto an iPad and it won't go. So we're back on the phone again. Anyway. Okay.
Well, it's working loud and clear and perfectly. And you suggested that we drink Fizz tonight, which I'm always a big fan of. Oh, yeah. Did you hear that? It revisits a beautiful Espumante we've had before. And you're bringing in Madeira as well. Tell us about your choice this evening, if you will.
Well, I thought a sparkling wine might be good for a start, because what I wanted to talk about a little bit was people's excuse me, people's traditions at Christmas. I know it's not quite Christmas, but it's getting close. And, you know, we all have different, we're all from different necks of the wood. I mean, few of us from jolly old, and Catherine's from Canada, and I'm sure there's people from other places. And I think that one thing that's always in common when Catherine and I have got together with friends from all over the world, it always seems to me that somebody opens a bottle of champagne on either New Year's Eve or Christmas morning. So that'll be a great start. We'll start with one of these.
Yes. Yeah.
And I did struggle a little bit trying to find one that I thought had enough pizzazz to actually bring out, and this one without spending, you know, 20 euros. So I think this one worked out. It's we tried a couple of others, but they just didn't have the fizz, as it were. So
all right, and there it is. It is the Terra do Demo. And Miguel Carvalho, at any point you want to jump in and correct our terrible pronunciation, you're very welcome. Do you have a drink?
Perfect.
Do you have a drink yourself there, Miguel? It'd be a shame for you not to toast with us. Do you have something?
Yeah, I haven't. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I feel bad. Okay.
Don't feel.
Well, imagine you drinking with us then. So back to you, Mike. You found a nice dry fizz here that you think is worthy of serving up on Christmas Day, basically.
I do, yeah. I think it's got a great. You know, when you drink a champagne, a nice champagne from France, and you get your nose in it, and the first thing that always comes at you is this sort of, we call it an oasty nose, and it reminds you of the smell they used to get from the oast houses when you were driving around the south of England.
Oh yes.
You know, when they were doing they were malting, and that in a great champagne that comes through, and this has got a little bit of it.
It's a hoppiness, isn't it? The oast houses are where they process the hops, presumably in the southeast of England.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, it was the hop houses, not the not the malt houses.
I love
that nose, and this I don't know if everybody can get it, but it's kind of not dusty, but it's kind of I don't know. It's a greenish. We just call it oasty because it's got that great flavor. And
happy to go with that.
It's a good description.
And it actually has tiny bubbles in the wine, and tiny bubbles are a good show of a decent champagne or sparkling wine. And this has got tiny bubbles.
And have you made champagne? I mean, you are winemakers. Have you made fizz as well?
Yeah, we've made 3 champagne, sparkling wines. I don't want to get arrested by the EC.
No, right. They're standing by.
We have to be. It's very difficult to make a sparkling wine. Actually, I mean, the French have got it mastered, and they've got all the people that do it. But you know, even the Spanish who make great sects, and the Germans who have got great. What are they? There's a sect as well, and they all do it a different way. And the old way the French do it is fantastic. And I have to do it a modern, different way. I have to make my wine. First of all, I make the wine. And it ferments. And about 6 months later, I take it out. And then I re-ferment it with some more new wine. And you put it back in the bottles while it's in its secondary fermentation. And that's what gives it its head. Gives it the sparkle. What the French do, they put it into the bottle right away and put it in the racks, and a riddler goes around. There's a guy who goes around every day, well, not every day, but one day, go around, turn the bottles to get all the junk to go in the head. And then they basically blow it out and do a little dosage if need be before they recork it. We do essentially the same thing, except we do it upside down. We basically almost freeze the wine in the bottle, pour it into another one, give it dosage, and the junk that's left in the bottom is the stuff that would have thrown out in the head of the bottle of wine when the French make it. So, but I've noticed there's a couple of Portuguese sparkling winemakers who make it the same way I do. They do 2 fermentations, and one of the companies ended up doing their second fermentation. They ended up with a rosé wine. It was exactly the same grape and everything else, and they ended up with a rosé. And I tried to find that wine, and I can't find it anywhere.
It might be this red Espumante. I mean, I've seen them making it in the Aliança Underground Museum in the Bairrada district.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go to Miguel here, who may know a thing or two about this. We love your fizz, Miguel, and it doesn't seem to have as big a profile or notoriety around the world as it might have. Is that because, like with a lot of other wines, Portuguese people like to keep them in the country and to themselves here?
Well, I think it's difficult for Portuguese wineries to sell abroad, although you can find some of the best wines besides Porto in many countries. But sparkling, it's not a tradition. Champagne is not quite traditional in Portugal. The red wine, the white wine are really traditional in here. The other ones have a shorter tradition because in ancient times, people would not have money to buy champagne. So they would drink the red wine they would do at home.
Right. But I mean, that said, the Portuguese do a fine job of these Espumantes. Bairrada district, yes, it has these incredible Espumantes. Is this a Bairrada that we're looking at tonight, Michael? I don't know what part.
This is from a Tavora Varosa. I don't even know where Tavora Varosa is, where that DOP is.
I don't either.
Isn't that sort of north? Where are we? Northeast part of the country, up there. Sort of. I can't sort of localize it, but Miguel, can you help me out here? Because I'm not.
It's northeast, yes.
But above Bairrada and below Vino Verde, below Verde.
Okay.
Yeah, sandwich in that region. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Sounds like a nice place to visit.
I thought it might be from.
Right. Now, Lion H, I'm going to go through a few comments here before we come back to Miguel and to Michael and to Kat there, because I've also had a message from Mrs. M. I thought me and Chinese Terry were being too noisy in here. And she's actually sent a message to say, bloody hell, that cake is good. Can I have more? And that'll be the cake that you very kindly sent, the Whitbys, your Christmas fruit cake. And I haven't tried it yet. So me and Terry are going to try that. And we've also got a Madeira to try. But let's say a few good evenings. We have Coach Turner, Boa Noite Gumpers. I don't have Espumante, but I do have Madeira brought back from our recent visit. From Madeira itself. I can't join you this evening, but I will be having a glass. Let us know how that goes, Coach Turner. He's probably naked. That's why join us. Evening all from Facebook user. Hello, wine drinkers. Don't know which Facebook user FU that is. Alcohol always helps speaking foreign languages. Would you agree?
Indeed. I would definitely go with that. What do you reckon? Terence, you're the expert as well in terms of you've been here the longest with the most Portuguese. Would you say you're better off speaking Portuguese drunk?
No.
Now, you see what he did there?
Now.
Very good. Very good.
It's a thing of muito focus. Yeah, it takes a lot of thinking and number crunching to speak Portuguese.
So being drunk's not good.
No.
There's a fine balance, though. It gives you the confidence. You need the confidence.
Confianza, see.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Confianza.
It's just showing off.
It's a matter of confidence, but generally wine helps.
Thank you.
Indeed, I'd agree with that. Definitely, I'd go with that one.
You know what? That should be on bottles of wine.
That
That should be on every bottle of wine in Portugal. Helps you speak Portuguese. It's just say drink responsibly and then helps you speak Portuguese right away.
My mouth is able to form the shape better when I've had a couple of glasses.
Exactly.
Very good.
Yes.
There's quite a few phrases that are like swallowing marbles, aren't there, Gary? Like soliera. And there's some local areas here that I find it just impossible to pronounce unless I'm really drunk. And then I think I've pronounced it right, which is great.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the recipient, Pete. Portugal Life Extras. Now, is that Veronica there? Or this is somebody who knows you. Hello from California. It's noon here, so probably no wine quite yet. Yeah, whatever. Hugs to the Whitby clan from Portugal Life Extras. Do you know who that is, Michael and Kat?
No.
No, okay. We may know you in a different capacity. I can't quite make out from the photo there. Douglas Hughes from the other famous land of fizz, Wales. Good evening, all. From Dougie Saline H. That's a bit early for that comment. we may not. We may not.
I like that comment.
Yeah. And no, we're always like this, Saline H. Champagne is not exploding bubbly due to very thick English bottles. Oh, that's good to know. Ignace, good evening to you. Lovely to see you here. Portuguese Espumante is excellent. I agree. And we agree tonight, don't we? We're drinking it and enjoying it tonight. Perfect on a hot afternoon to wash down a crunchy salad and some earthy Portuguese bread. And we'll come to Miguel for some further serving suggestions, I think. Red Espumante from Bairrada with Leitão, just amazing. That is a classic combo, isn't it? For sure. The suckling pig with the red Espumante. And it is Veronica, I thought it might be. Good evening to you. And lovely to see you here, Veronica. Yes, Veronica from Tomare.
Yes. From California.
Who knows the Tamar secret?
She does.
She does. She knows the Tamar secret now. So there we are on the screen. Sorry, Linda. I'm trying to get everyone as big as possible on the screen, and I'm cutting you off a little bit there. So let's go back to that shot there. Miguel, can I ask you for further pairings for Espumante? Do you think? I mean, Leitão with the red fizz, certainly a good one. What else would Portuguese people have their fizzes with, food wise?
Well, mainly with the Leitão da Bairrada. The pig we all love, and besides, it is used mainly in festivities to make celebrations. And besides, some people like it with some fish, specifically cooked on oven, but not so frequently as the Leitão, and as using it for celebration.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, fizz does the biz, doesn't it? Gets the party started. Great for celebrations. And Saline H, who will be in Braga with, I hope, in May of next year, suggesting a robalo, which is a sea bass, isn't it? Robalo, and you say no forno rather than grelhado for
yes.
Okay.
It goes really well with something cooked in the oven, even red meat cooked in the oven with especially if it is a traditional oven where you can use wood, it brings an amazing taste to the meat, and it goes very well with the spumante.
I just wanted to ask Miguel, pronounce grillado for me, because that's a British pronunciation.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Come on.
Yeah. No, you were good.
Thank
good,
you.
but I just want to clear it up for everybody.
Right.
He's getting annoyed now, so I'll give him another drink in a minute. You see the fire.
Getting a bit red in the face.
How do you say grillado in Portuguese?
How do I say?
In Portuguese, grillado.
He doesn't know what you're saying. That's probably your
Grillado.
pronouncing.
I don't know.
It's grilled. I want it grilled.
Grelhado.
Grillado.
Yes.
Grillado.
It's the get, which is difficult.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of those noises.
Yeah, it is.
But
Grillado.
Pronuncio was almost perfect.
There is a guy in the Algarve. There's another Dave in Portugal called British Dave in Portugal in the Algarve, who's just released a podcast with some basic Portuguese lessons that you might find quite useful. Okay, back to the Whitbys then. Thank you, Miguel, for your commentary. Really appreciate you being here and giving us the insight. So we've got this lovely fizz. What more do you want to say about it?
My senior research assistant found out
Who's hidden behind the bottle?
Is actually comes from just a little bit north of Guarda and Vila Real.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So quite far north then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that far north.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So is it time to move on to the Madeira then?
We could just a second.
Oh, sorry. No, we're not yet. Garvo has a point of order, I think, here.
I wanted to ask around the table to see what people do with the Christmas morning or Christmas Eve, and what are people's different
with the fizz? Yeah, and that's a good call. That's a good call. Let's come back to that because Gary wanted to add something there, I think.
Yeah, just very quickly, because we've got the fizz out, and it's obviously a celebration drink. I'd just like to wish my dear wife of tomorrow a happy birthday, because it's a special day tomorrow for her. So without
happy birthday, Linda.
Let's go back to the big screen. Let's get all the cheerses in one place. Linda, let's toast you. Yeah. Parabéns, and lots of love to you, Linda. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm hearing you really sexy right up in my headphones here, Terence.
Muchos parabéns.
It's like the Godfather, but maybe the salted codfather.
The
Salted codfather. All right, Michael. Good question. So yeah, Fizz, might see it on. Well, we've just had it at Thanksgiving, haven't we? The mimosas, a Thanksgiving morning, perhaps. Are you talking along those sort of lines?
Well, I'm thinking more about what you actually did. I mean, I know with Christmas for us when I was a kid, I'm probably the eldest one in the room right now, I think. And
through wireless mode,
I can remember Christmas morning for us. There was no champagne, of course, because I was only small. But I can remember the stockings hanging on our beds were actually nylon stockings.
Really?
And inside your nylon stocking, of course, I think my mum saved up all the snagged nylons for the whole year, because I have 5 sisters and a brother. And
wow.
So the big highlight for us was getting an orange, because seriously, this was we'd be talking about 1958, 59. There was still rationing in England.
Yeah.
And you could barely get things like oranges. So at Christmas time, to get an orange, and then the other big thing was Brazil nuts.
I was going to say Brazil nuts, yeah.
Yeah, we never got them any time of year before Christmas, except Christmas.
Oranges, Brazil nuts.
And a piece of coal.
Yeah, a piece of coal.
Well, we won't say what they used to be.
And a crayon. Yeah.
No.
So in a working class house, the piece of coal would have to double as a crayon, presumably. As well. Not funny. Now, the really sad thing I think about the orange and the walnut thing is that the orange and the walnuts would have tasted as I remember them back in the UK. And it's coming to Portugal that helps you to understand what an orange or a walnut really tastes. Brazil nuts, I've not seen Brazil nuts here, but when I first tasted oranges here and walnuts from the tree, it's a whole nother dimension of taste, isn't it? What you put up with as that Christmas.
I love our local village. The mayor's husband, who's just fab. He's a tractor mechanic. He cracks the walnuts from the tree with his hands, right, and gives them to you in the bar. I just love that, and the fact that I've got like 3 orange trees outside at the moment is just amazing to kind of. I still think it's just lovely. Portugal's so special. It's just
and what a contrast, Michael. You know, the orange you got presumably was like it had travelled a long way, obviously, and it had been stored for a while, and the flavour just wouldn't be like you're experiencing in VRSA now, would it?
No. The lesson.
Most of them came from the Canary Islands. I can remember seeing them in the shops. You know, they were in a box, a green box, and it had the Canary Islands on them. So these things came by boat.
Incredible.
It was 1958, 59. So they came by boat, and God knows when they were picked.
And still very special, obviously, but by virtue of its scarcity. Go on, Gary.
I was going to say there's an important lesson. You must put a little caveat in here about oranges in Portugal. And Miguel, you'll know the road that goes up out of the town with all the orange trees up by the monument over the hill. You know, they get covered in those big juicy oranges, don't you? Well, I thought I've got to try one of these because they just look wonderful, and they're not really the eating oranges; they're the marmalade oranges, and they are so bitter. It felt like somebody smashed a green nose over my head. I was like, I was incapacitated with like, wow. So be careful what you have. Not all
That's
oranges.
Interesting. Now, is that not the more indigenous Portuguese orange? Because the orange is an imported fruit, is it not? The sweetest orange in Portugal has come from elsewhere, as I understand it. That's what Frank told me, I think.
And you
I don't know, the ones we get, the ones we're getting here in the market, and they're literally basically out of the farm. We know the farmer, and they have their own little farm.
Oh, sure, but I'm talking about the species. You know, the trees were brought. Yeah, they were brought.
I find there's some really weird things, Carl. I was chatting to someone the other day, and they were telling me that Portugal imports oranges from Spain, right? Yeah, so it does. It's a net importer. Yet there's so many orange trees. I mean, goodness me, the number of orange and lemon trees.
I
don't know.
It's criminal, isn't it? Basically, I mean, it tells you a lot about business, doesn't it? Basically, how it's cheaper to do that, which is a craziness. Go on, Terence.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask Miguel. Miguel, I constantly walking out. I take a dog for a walk every day, and you know the area of Alviazra. It's so rich and bounteous and full of fruit. Everywhere you go, you got walnuts, you got oranges, you got nisperas, which is like this. I don't know. It's like a yellow. Thank you. Nisperas. Yeah. Having a few drinks could help. Nisperas, right? And they're all lying on the floor, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not joking. If you could probably live off the fruit that grows on the trees all year round in Portugal.
Yeah.
And they're so rich and bounteous, and you can see all these orange trees everywhere, and and the floor is laden in a carpet of orange. Why do the Portuguese leave the fruit that way? Why isn't it collected and sort of eaten?
I know we are paying the price for what happened in the 70s, 80s. Because when we got money from the European Union, people were in certain way discouraged to pay attention to their land and as well as to their trees. The truth is, we have amazing fruit trees all over the place, and the oranges are really amazing. Portuguese people really love to eat oranges by the tree, collecting them and eating them. But I don't know, I think it's kind of a cultural thing, because even if you offer your oranges, imagining you have them, or walnuts or whatever, even to some associations, people don't really want to go and collect it. Because I don't know, I think it's easier to buy imported fruit in the supermarket, but it's a pity,
Because when as a kind of Northern European, and you come to a place like Portugal and you see the rich, bounteous fruit producing. I mean, you've got so many seasons of just constant growing, and the fullness of the land.
Yeah,
it kind of knocks us out the park. We can't understand it.
For decades, people only ate what they could grow in their lands. So they could eat fruit all the year, because there are fruits coming every season, and even in each season, more than one. But suddenly we have been invaded by tropical fruits, by bananas, which are not from Madeira. And suddenly people fall in love with all these, and it became kind of fancy to buy and have these fruits. And sometimes we forget the essentials. So it's
well said. It is the curse of choice, isn't it? Absolutely right. And we have a phrase for it in the UK. It's your bloody common market. Do you remember that? Thank you so much, Miguel, and thank you, Michael, for that question. So Lion H is all over it. Look, orange comes. Oh no, back in the day, I opened a champagne bottle with friends around 1 a.m. on Christmas Day. Yeah, because that's the thing here in Portugal, isn't it? Is Christmas Eve is a celebration. So a nice bottle of fizz, early on Christmas Day morning, maybe after celebrations on Christmas Eve. Rabanadas, bolorei, and mejidos. Can you translate that for us, please, Miguel? So rabanadas, what would that be?
Rabanadas are made of bread soaked in milk and sugar, and then they are fried. And when they are fried, they go through sugar and cinnamon, and they are amazing. Yes.
Sounds good. And bolorei, we know the king's cake, of course. That's the important one. Again, a common market. Your EU. Stop people putting nail files and screws and nails and metalwork inside your Bolero. You can't have a dangerous Bolero anymore, can you?
But anyway, all these we are talking about are quite recent, because the real traditional Christmas cake or whatever is belos, made of pumpkin or made of carrot more recently. So the only thing people would have at the beginning of the 20th century at Christmas night was belos, which they would bake and cook and fry, and they would eat that in family. But Christmas time was very different from what it is today.
And it would be seasonal, as you mentioned before, right? So it's the autumn, winter vegetable, isn't it, that's then made into the cake for Christmas?
Yes, it is. And besides, it was quite usual for Portuguese people at that stage to raise pumpkins, both for their own and especially to give to their animals. So it was very frequent to have it at home. So they found out a way to create something special, because it was quite special and it was once in a year, and it was very, very, very special for them to have the opportunity to cook their belos.
Very good. Loving this. Thank you so much. And mejidos, what would they be?
I don't know. Can you repeat?
On the screen there, the last word, mejidos, from Celine H there. Who can also comment on this? Because there's the rabanadas, the bolare, and the mejidos. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm sure that will come through. And the orange, as I suspected, and as I think Frank told me, the sweetest of the oranges comes from Asia or the Middle East. And I think the Portuguese were the first ones that took it to them. Oh, so it went from here to there. I thought it was the other way around in Europe. In Iran, orange means Portuguese and the fruit also. Squire of the Shires, good evening, Squire. The word Portugal in Persian means orange. So there's a very interesting connection, and no wonder Persian Frank knows about that. Ubi Ominum is here with us, Botada Toros, enjoying all the orange love. And my kids, he says, favorite thing in Portugal is freshly squeezed OJ at Pingados. Yes, at a mall stand, a festa, anywhere. So going back to your question, Michael, mimosas or Bucks Fizz on a Christmas morning. That's what I remember, you know, with my childhood. In later times anyway, my stepdad always used to like to make a Bucks Fizz and a smoked salmon sandwich. Posh bugger first thing on a Christmas morning.
A couple of tea.
Come on, Gary, what's that?
You're so posh, aren't you?
I am so posh. I can't, you know, I can't be blamed. I was born into it. What can I say?
We had black pudding in Tizer.
I would have preferred that.
Catherine had a very interesting Christmas one that they did on Christmas morning with her family. So, do you want to say that?
Which one?
The cornflake box.
Oh, yeah. My parents didn't want to have to get up in the morning early when we were up rooting through our stockings and Christmas Santa gifts. So they put in each of our stockings one of the cereal boxes, the miniature cereal boxes that you could open and pour the milk right in and just eat it right out of the box. That was, we only got that once a year, and it was at Christmas. And it was a big deal. Very special.
Yeah, I remember doing that as a parent and step parent. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fantastic to discover that you could pour milk straight into the box. Is that a Canadian Christmas thing?
Well, it was at our house, and we had the orange also in the stocking that went right into the toes, so that prevented all the candy from getting into the stocking. Yeah.
Oh, superb. Okay, let's go to Peter Bleach in Her Majesty's Richmond upon Thames. Did you have quail's eggs in aspic fed to you by the butler, Pete?
Yeah, I was in Kew at the time, actually. So, yeah, we'd go take a jaunt to Kew Gardens at the time. So, no, I mean, no, I don't know. Our Christmases were... I think my most fun memories of Christmas, and I used to do this every Christmas, which was really weird. We lived in a 5-story house when I was living in Richmond. And the stairs were awesome. So we used to go in sleeping bags down the stairs on Christmas morning. We must have really annoyed our parents, I reckon. I don't know how we didn't have any severe injuries at the end of it, but that's all I remember doing on Christmas morning. And oranges, yeah, definitely. Oranges were a big thing. How was it in Croydon? What did you do in Croydon on Christmas morning? Go on, Di.
Well,
That seems to be
way before the parents, way before our parents.
Yeah.
I think actually probably as soon as they got the presents in the
something worldwide.
bed, we were up. So, but my mum used to always do like bacon sandwiches on Christmas morning.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Bacon sandwich.
What I wouldn't give. What I wouldn't give.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic, thanks, Di. Michael, back to you then. I think we've gone around the room, haven't we? And we've got the Christmas morning specials and the Christmas Eves.
So we're going to go to Madeira, but before we do that, or Madeira, I can never, if it's EI, should it be A, which would be Madeira, but it's not that. So is it Madeira or Madeira?
Madeira.
Miguel, can we call on you there? EI, like Leiria or Aveiro or Madeira. EI, is that the right way to say that?
Madeira, yes.
Madeira. Okay, thank you, Miguel.
You all say Madeira quite well.
Oh.
Okay. So, this is a confection that we sent to a couple of guys, and this is something we wanted to send to you because this is part of our Christmas tradition. Catherine makes this every year, and it's called
Pan Forte di Siena. It's a convection / fruitcake that was invented by the nuns in Siena about about
12th century.
About the 12th century. And it's called Pan Forte because it is strong bread. It basically doesn't go off. It's dried fruit and nuts and honey with a lot of spices. And so when the Crusades were happening, the Crusaders started to load up on this Pan Forte because they could take it in their saddlebags on the Crusades and it wouldn't spoil. And so it really became a symbol of a religious, of the Crusades and the religion and peregrines, people who are peregrines. So for us, we are peregrines, as are you. So
hold on a minute. What a peregrine? People who lived in many places, migrants who moved around.
Yes, and moved. Yeah, the movers.
Wow. I've never heard that word before. It makes complete sense, though. Very good. Peregrines. That's confusing, isn't it, to people? No, I'm not an expat. I'm not an immigrant. I'm not a foreigner. I'm a peregrine, actually.
Peregrino.
Yeah, peregrino.
Peregrino.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
so
Miguel.
Guys, for your Madeira, if you've got a port glass, this is what you need.
Port glass is a good one.
Now,
A
sadly,
regular port glass if you've got one.
It's also you can drink it out of your
That's an Italian port glass.
it is. It looks a bit big on the big side, isn't it?
What do we do?
Drink like an Italian.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do Madeira.
Oh, that sounds
Because it's something so different, and it's got such an amazing history. I mean, this wine's only been around for about 500 or 600 years in different forms, unlike some of the wines that the Romans planted and stuff. But it's got an amazing history. It's not like sherry. It's not like muscatel. It's not like port. It's got a totally different flavor. 90% of the Madeira is made with white grapes. Well, it used to be until about 40 years ago when they all of a sudden switched to a red grape, which it's called Tinta Negra. And they now, some of the lower quality Madeiras, anything younger than 5 years old will be made with the red grape. But the red grape is actually quite interesting because it's one of those grapes. A lot of grapes are, when you squeeze a red grape, inside it's green. And as long as you get the juice off the skins right away, you're going to end up with a white wine. That's what happens.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
So this Tinta Negra is used now for probably about 90% of the non-vintage Madeiras. The one we chose is a 5-year-old, which is non-vintage. Vintage ones don't start till they're 10 years old. But this is sort of representative of what the new Madeiras are like. And it is made by a family that's been making Madeira for about 300 years, the same family.
Cool.
And they're still in business and they're still doing it themselves. So there's only about 5 or 6 companies now that really that make it, that are independent companies, because a big company bought up a bunch of small guys and it became one big outfit. So I thought
is that the Brits again? Is that the Brits doing the thing there with the port? Is it that company? Yeah. Yeah,
that's what happened. Well, the Brits actually in about the 1600s really smartened up the Madeira business. Before that, it was pretty ad hoc. I mean, the way Madeira got going, it was originally just a light, dry white wine, but it never traveled very well. So it was put in barrels and it was picked up by all the sailing ships, and they took it to the New World. They took it to Portugal's new colonies, and they found out that after they'd gotten there, after crossing the equator a couple of times, the wine had transformed and became really quite a nice sweet wine. And later, in the 1800s, the early 1800s, they actually started fortifying the wine. By 1600s, they started fortifying the wine with brandy, and that made a big difference to it. So what you're drinking now is a wine that.
What's the other one?
This one was actually made in a method called estuva, which means they put it in a warehouse and they set fires going in it and heat the wine up, and it changes this wine from just a regular wine. It starts to oxidize a little bit, but they've killed it already with the alcohol, with the brandy.
Really cold.
Because when this wine first went in the barrels, it was only about 12% alcohol, because they stopped it with the brandy. They stopped the fermentation process.
Ah, okay.
And they raised the alcohol content, because this is 19-20% alcohol, this wine. Like a good port.
I'm feeling it. Are you?
But they've done it.
Chinese Terry's got a right off flush.
While I'm thinking about this, why don't we pour a bit and see how it tastes?
Well, I think he's given me quite a big dose there.
Oh.
And
I've given Carl a big dose.
Dad, you're not for the first time, I hasten to add.
You need to go to the clinic for that one.
Stronger antibiotics this time. Your pan forte, this pan forte is out of this world delicious. Absolutely love it.
It's immense.
Great.
It's delicious, and
send you the recipe for posting if you like, Carl.
Oh, it is one. I'd much rather receive it in the post again next year if that's okay.
I can do that too.
But you know the beautiful thing about it is it's just like Christmas, because I was down to like 3 pieces. I've got Mrs. M munching it next door. Terence is enjoying a bit here, and then I look and I see there's another layer, just like a box of Christmas chocolate. That is so thoughtful and so festive. So we've got another layer that we've discovered there.
I don't know whether you agree, but when you have the old cake, I'm loosely calling it a fruit cake.
Yeah.
And the Madeira.
Yeah.
It just opens gateways, doesn't it, really?
Really, your soul has been penetrated.
I want to shout from someplace very high.
Feel free. He's feeling it tonight. He's feeling it.
I tell you what, I'm a happy man. I've got
this is beautiful.
I've got this Madeira, and I've got the old
cake.
And I tell you what, compliments to the cake maker.
Yeah,
excellent
definitely.
Cake.
Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, that's really, opened up the gangway to Christmas here. That's what Christmas should be.
Well said. Done, well said. The doors to Christmas have been formally opened tonight.
They have.
There you go.
This piece is out of the second batch.
Yeah.
What, second layer or second?
Who had the first layer?
Well, you guys had You guys had about 2/3 of the first one, and this is the
Oh my
next
goodness!
one.
Well, thank you so much. Very, very kind.
Very kind of you.
So
Thank
back
you.
to Madeira. Miguel, would you like to add anything about the wonderful autonomous region of Madeira? We've got the Açores, of course, and I'm making a video that Filomena's just got back from the Açores, where she's been talking to Genuino Madruga, the solo yachtsman who sailed around the world twice on his own, and he now runs a restaurant over there. Madeira, Coach Turner's just got back from over there. What can you tell us about Madeira? I mean, it's paradise on earth, isn't it?
It is, especially Porto Santo. It is quite different from Portugal and the islands because of the weather. It's really amazing to go to Porto Santo and to realize that it is so different. But anyway, what Madeira takes people to go there from the continent because of the flowers, because of the gastronomy, because of the wine, and mainly because there is an historical relation to folklore and to the traditional way of living in Madeira, which was quite different from the continent. And it was not as frequent as it is today to have people traveling from the continent to the islands. Fortunately, today everything is more accessible. But anyway, I think people really love the flowers, really love the flavors. There are some specific things that everybody wants to taste, such as the espetada, which is made with a stick of loureiro, and it's grilled in ashes. It's really, really good. Besides, bolo do caco, it's also a reference. And in what comes to food, from my personal experience, it was amazing to realize how many diverse species of maracujás, passion fruit, we have in Madeira. It's amazing. Yeah.
Maracujá.
So there's all kinds.
I could eat passion fruit in Madeira for 2 weeks, and there are more than a dozen species. It's really, really good. Yeah,
sounds amazing.
There are tomatoes which they look like tomatoes, but inside they look like passion fruit, and they taste like passion fruit.
Wow!
I had something. I had something that looked like a tomato the other day, and it wasn't a tomatillo. It was something like that, but it tasted like a passion fruit. It was amazing.
Yes, small ones. Yes.
Yeah. It looked like a tomato on the outside, and it had that kind of passion fruity pulp inside, and the seeds.
Here in the continent, I've realized 2 years ago that we had people which had been to Madeira cultivating these passion fruits.
Yeah, superb. Thank you so much for that. Sounds like they put lead in your pencil as well, the passion fruit. I mean, they're obviously not called that by accident, are they? Don't forget smoked oysters as well. Another aphrodisiac there. Is that a Portuguese thing, a smoked oyster? I'm not sure if it is or not, Ubi. And Ignace is here telling us that she will be... Now, Ignace will be Santa Claus in a few days, traditionally in the Netherlands for the kids. He comes from Spain by steamboat. This is the... I think the portrayal of Santa Claus in the Netherlands is quite terrifying, is it not? And also in Iceland, it is, isn't it? And in Iceland as well, they've got the trolls that have been spying on you all year. I think the Scandinavians are quite harsh on the kids, aren't they? With the whole Christmas naughty or nice thing. The treat for everybody, if you've been good, presumably, is marzipan, grinded almonds and sugar. Very tasty, said Ignace. Thank you very much for being here tonight with that. And Peregrine is the same as Pilgrim. Interesting. Yep, didn't know that. Madeira wine was the wine of course, the first Americans had after the Constitution of the USA was approved when the USA was created as a country. And was that a bit of British fair play? It was like, well, okay, chaps, you've got your country back. Why don't we drink some of this marvelous Madeira we've brought with us? Is that how it worked? I don't know. Maybe
no, it's not, because Madeira was for years the Americans were the biggest imbibers of Madeira anywhere after the epidemics, the phylloxera and the odium epidemics. When it got back into business, the Americans bought more of it than anybody. And between the British and the Americans, they kept the Madeira business going.
Is that right?
But in America, it was a wine only for people who could really afford the wine. It was a very expensive wine for them.
So the emerging wealthy ruling class of America were Madeira drinkers, presumably
you
on
could
account
never
of the
buy, if you were just the rank and file, you could never buy a Madeira wine. You couldn't afford it.
Very interesting. And so it, based on its preciousness, was used to toast the Constitution and the independence. Very good. Thank you, Saline H, for that. And is that a Bolo de Rey from Madeira? No, this is a Panforte made especially for us by Kat. So thank you so much for that. It's a bit denser than a Bolo Rey. Bolo Rey is quite bready, isn't it, with candied fruit and so on. And it used to have a little trinket in it. And I think the custom, is that right, Miguel? If you got the trinket or the coin that was inside the Bolo Rey, you had to buy it next year. Is that right?
Yes. Nowadays, it's not very frequent to find them because our policies have forbidden it. But anyway, we used to have the fava, and we used to have the toy, the small toy made of a metallic lead, which looked like silver, and it was so funny to eat bullhead because everybody was looking for the piece with the fava or with the brind. If it was the fava, yes, you would have to buy the next one.
Brilliant, absolutely wonderful. Thank you for being here tonight. Love it. So, Michael, Kat, we've loved this fizz. I'm slurring because I'm also loving the Madeira here as well. Where are you taking us next? Chinese Terry's got, look at him, he's got a lovely look on his face in that freeze frame.
What day would the January one be?
It's a little more Chinese every hour.
So the Whitbys, where are you? Are we going to mix these together now? And it's going to get super messy.
For sure.
Oh, it's messy enough.
We'll be better prepared next time.
Heard that, Pete.
What date is the January event?
Well, this is our Christmas party, isn't it? So it doesn't matter if it gets messy. It doesn't matter if you end up in a broom cupboard. All that sort of Christmassy stuff. End up on a sofa you don't recognize. It's perfect this evening. But January, are you throwing it's like the bouquet being thrown in the air at a wedding, isn't it? The bouquet is being thrown by the Whitbys into the air to see who will pick up the January wine club mantle baton. Chinese Terry's going for it. They're not known Chinese to be. I mean, no disrespect Chinese Terry, but it's not a land well known for its wine, is it? I mean, I'm guessing you can buy wine at a Chinese shop, but it's not going to be Chinese wine.
It's not a land known for its wine. No, more plastic and things that melt that shouldn't melt.
Okay. And all right. Is that you saying no? You're not going to be doing January's wine tasting. Okay. I don't know. So who's up for January's baton, picking it up and running with it? Or to put it another way, what haven't we tried yet? Because Madeira was a glaring omission from our tastings, wasn't it? It's taken us over 50 wines to get to Madeira, and that is a terrible admission to make.
Carl, it's even worse because you know what?
We've missed a load, Carl, but have we tried Jarapiga yet? Have you done?
Oh yeah, we had Jarapiga.
Yeah, we had that
last right? So
it's now a staple in everybody's home.
It is. It's behind Chinese Terry here, right on the shelf there. As you can see.
It is, yeah.
Amazing drink.
Yeah. Or over there, I don't know.
Anyway, guys, you need to appreciate this Madeira while you can, because before all the epidemics, there were about 3,000 hectares of grapes grown to produce Madeira in Madeira. Now there's only 400, and it's getting smaller every year because
why?
There are about 400, of that 400 acres, let me see if I got that number written down here somewhere. Out of the 400 acres, there's something like 1,000 producers, and most of them have a piece of land that's less than 1/10 of a hectare.
Mhm.
Wow.
I mean, it's ridiculous. These are tiny little farms that I think I read that their names, they were colonos, were they? They after the revolution, they were given the opportunity. They were, what was the word? There's a word here. I gotta find it. These were people who farmed this land before 1974, and then after 1974, they were given the option to be able to buy their land, and most of them did, and they farmed it. But they were all tiny pieces, and that's really all that's left. And there's nobody picking it up. You know, they're losing every year. They're losing more and more acreage of grape, and the EU won't let it be made anywhere else.
So we must continue to
keep
enjoy
buying it.
Keep buying it. Yeah.
But why is it like that? What's the problem here? What can be done to stop that trend and that direction of travel?
The biggest region for growing the grape, you know, there were some really great grapes like Cercial and Boal, and they were all grown on the south side of the island. And then after the epidemics, you know, the last one I think was 1850. And after those epidemics, really it just slowed right down. It took forever to build it up. And during that time, tourism started to pick up. And before you know it, the south side of the island's covered in hotels. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Okay, I've got an idea.
Okay, Chinese Terry has been
Terry,
thinking laterally
just
here.
Hit me here, okay, like a car. The year 2019 was a fabulous year for wine. Okay, let's center ourselves on that. Why don't we all get together, right, and choose a wine from 2019, which we can sell, right? Do a little competition, and whoever sells the best 2019 wine, visually, audibly, over the airwaves, wins.
So run that past me again. Go on.
Yeah, you lost me there, really, but I'm his brother.
I'm sure it's a good idea. I just haven't understood it yet.
It's a great idea, honestly. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
To give everybody a little 5 minutes of fame, okay?
Yeah.
We go out and we buy any wine, right, from 2019 because it was a spanking year for wine. Okay. No. Well, whatever you feel, okay. White has probably died out now. It's short shelf life, and it's getting rarer. Okay, but if we bring that 2019 wine, and we all do a little bit of say what this tastes like, what it smells like, what the aromas are, what the textures are, the notes, etc., 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 and we all tell everybody, you know, what it is. We can't vote for ourselves, and then we'll give a little vote. And at the end of the night, somebody comes out the winner. And
best of 2019.
Best of 2019
for January.
Yeah, and everybody.
Okay, all right. That's a good idea. We've never done it.
It's a brilliant idea. What are you talking about?
It is a brilliant idea, Chinese Terry. Okay, so the best of 2019 is the first Monday of January. Which, if I have a quick look at the calendar, by the virtue of modern technology,
the best of.
That's the 1st of January. That's not a good idea, is it? The 1st of January.
No.
So should we go with the 8th?
Yeah,
we'll go with the 8th, and it's the best of 2019.
2019.
Good nice one, Chinese. Okay. All right. Now, back at the Whitby household, were you going to bring your neighbours into the wine tasting there?
No, we got invaded.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very, 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 very neighbourly of you. No problem there if they would like to join us. But that's the idea. Best of 2019. We're going to do on the 8th of January. But it's going to be the second Monday. Okay. So I think we need to just have a little review of what we've been drinking tonight. Go around the room. I'm very embarrassed that Miguel had joined us and doesn't have a Portuguese drink in his hand. But thank you so much. Really want to say thank you on behalf of all of us here for giving your time to us and giving your wisdom and insight to us. So thank you so much, Miguel. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Obrigado, senor.
Is there anything you want to add or any direction you want to point us in? We're very passionate amateurs, and we love your country, and we're keen to get involved and do whatever we can to show our willingness to be great foreigners here. What would you suggest to us?
This is amazing what you do, and I have to say thank you, because I can understand that you really love Portugal and you love to show what we have, which can be considered to be the best. Anyway, you have come to Portugal quite recently, considering its history. And when we speak about wine, and when we speak about Christmas, and when we speak about what people eat, what people prefer, everything is very different today from 1 century and 20 years ago, because Christmas was really what was supposed to be. It was family gathering. People didn't have money. People didn't have capacity to buy things, so they will come. They would work the 24th December all day in the agriculture. They will return home. They will collect the cabbage in the backyard, and that's what they would eat. And it was a very special night because of that. People who didn't have money, they didn't have presents, they didn't have Santa Claus. They just knew that they were celebrating the birth of baby Jesus, and they were gathering together to do that. So they would be in one room, because houses generally have 2 rooms, the sleeping ones and the kitchen, and they would be all in the kitchen eating from the same bowl, sharing the real sense of sharing. Today it's not well seen, but at that time, and if we can look back and take the picture of it, people which are tired, which come home from hard work, and they get together sharing their meal, and the older ones would tell stories to the younger ones. And it was amazing to have the view. It is amazing to have the view of this celebration, because that's what Christmas was. And one thing they would do was the cabbage, and probably a chicken, which was killed once a year, because people didn't have the money to eat more meat than that. And then for the celebration, they would cook the belos with a pumpkin.
Yep.
And they would spend the night speaking to one to another, but they would wait for the midnight, not just because they are celebrating the baby Jesus, but because there was a tradition, and it's still kept in some parts of the country. The older man of the house at midnight would take a stick wood from the firewood burning, and he would go outside. He would put up, and whether the smoke went north or south, that was the meaning. They would have a good or a bad year in terms of agriculture, and a good or bad year in terms of agriculture meant a good or bad year for everyone, in what regards the capacity of eating, the capacity of provide things they didn't have at their houses. And at this period, people generally worked for the others, because they didn't have land. Most of the land was owned by os senhores, the most important persons in the town, and they would work and work and work and work, but they were still very happy, and they didn't import oranges or tropical fruits, not even toys or whatever. They were generally sharing family time, and it was very, very nice. And I had the chance to listen to some 20 or 30 people with more than 80 or 90 years old telling me all these stories. So it's very nice to have the chance to get our children and adults to understand that Christmas has changed a lot. There was no Madeira. Probably there was no wine there. And only if someone had the kind thought of offering the family wine, because they generally worked for the main house of the town, and they would make the wine, but it was not for them.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Go on.
Just want to ask Miguel, right? I mean, I love the story about the smoke going south or going north, and I've heard this. And there are some football supporters in Portugal, yeah, that they get the burning stick, yeah, and they hold it up. And if it goes north, it's Porto, yeah, and if it goes south, it might be Benfica or Sporting. Is this true?
Well, I don't know if it's true, but as all the legends, if we believe, who knows?
Well said. Well said, Miguel.
Which way is he blowing this year, buddy?
That is so beautiful. If you see Chinese Terry out in the street doing that on Christmas Day, that's what he's doing. Porto or Benfica.
Miguel, the bacalhau Christmas, when did that sort of start and how did that come about?
Sorry, Gary, didn't understand.
The bacalhau at Christmas, the salt cod, when did that come into sort of Christmas sort of tradition?
Oh, okay. Bacalhau being the Christmas lunch.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know exactly the date, but it was towards mid 20th century, I would say, because the whole fish that people could eat here was the sardines. They would buy for a little price in the market once a week. They would buy 5 sardines if they were lucky, and they would keep it. They wouldn't have fridge, so they would keep it close to the firewood, because the smoke helped to conserve the sardines, and then they would eat from there the entire week.
That's incredible.
But sardines, not bacalhau.
Yeah.
So Miguel, are you a historian? Is this a professional or a personal hobby interest you have in the history of Portugal?
I really love our ancestors' history. I don't specifically love history as history of humanity, but I really think that for us to know who we are, we need to know from where we come.
Oh, well said. Yeah. Well said. Absolutely. And can I ask you? I don't mean to put you on the spot, and you're very welcome to to answer exactly as you feel is appropriate. But this is next year will be a very important year for Portugal with the 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution. Would you care to be our friendly historian or reference point in terms of that amazing cultural phenomenon for Portugal? Can we ask you questions about that as well? Will you come back and talk to us about that?
Well, as common knowledge, because I don't study history. I like to understand what former generations went through, and I was really related to folklore for 20 years, and what I worked on was ethnography. So I tried to understand what people went through, what they ate, what they dressed, what they ate, what they used to do. And if you are absolutely right when you say that the 24th of April was in 74 was an important day, because it changed everything. It changed the way people thought. It opened doors that we didn't know that they were there.
Right. And it's so interesting, isn't it? 50 years later. I mean, this is the most recent major revolution in Europe, I would say. And the political turbulence in Europe, the world generally, there's a special significance for Portugal next year, isn't there? And the politicians will no doubt be using it as a reference point for their own purposes, because that's what they do, and it's understandable. And there's a whole cultural backstory that we might look into, and that would help us understand the country we've moved to. So, like I said, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you'd care to come back and join us and speak about that at some later date, we'd be delighted to have you here. And I thank Gary for, inviting you here, and thank you for being here tonight, Miguel. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Gary, for inviting me. And whenever I can, I'll be with you if you consider it to be appropriate. But I'm a storyteller. I'm not an historian.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's what we need.
Yes.
I've learned so much. I've learned so
We're all
much.
storytellers.
Go on, Gary.
I've learned so much from Miguel in the time that we've been friends. The little things you would not pick up, and you would pass by and you wouldn't know. I mean, there's so many things he's just said there in that sort of last statement that probably nobody on this screen ever knew about. It's so useful to know those things if you live in a country and you want to keep that tradition alive, which I want to do. I want to be part of that culture. I want to hold on to that bit of history, and if I can, add to it. So thank you very much, Miguel. You've done a great job.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You are all very generous.
Thank you so much. Feel free to go and enjoy the rest of your evening in the way that you know how, because we're going to continue to go around the room. But thank you, Miguel. You're welcome to stay.
Thank you.
I understand if you want to check out as
Bye
well.
bye. It's a pleasure to be with all of you, and I wish you Merry Christmas and a very special 24th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Wow, what an absolute legend. Thank you, Gary, for inviting Miguel along.
I told you it was good.
You did. You were absolutely right. And normally we just do an hour of the wine club, but I think it's only right to comment on the Fizz and the Madeira. And we'll come back to you to do that last of all as the people who suggested that, the Whitbys. Let's go to the Austin household in Alvaiazra and find out what you thought of the booze this evening.
May I go first?
Of course.
Well, we know that the Fizz she's an old favourite.
We've done this before.
Linda, I think it's one Linda did on your very first broadcast.
I think it was. Yeah, it was
and
fine.
it's a beautiful little, Espumante. It's very cheeky. It's nice, like you say, nice bubble structure. You're not going to go wrong with it. The Madeira. This is like a scene from Poldark. They're knocking it back like nobody's business. I'm not sure gin's so keen because it's quite sweet, but Linda's, I mean, she's sold. She keeps nudging me for more, so it's a big hit. Yeah, and great with the what's the cake called? Sorry, I didn't quite.
Panforte. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad to find out we got another layer. I didn't know we got another layer.
Really
So I'm saving
nice.
it for the next event. So
Yeah, really lovely.
it's beautiful.
So,
Thank you very
Gary,
much.
did you end up getting a demi sec, or did you buy what did you end up with?
I got the one you put out.
Oh, okay, great. And you find it sweet.
Because it's a fortified wine. A lot of the fortified wines are quite sweet anyway, aren't they? But in comparison to something like Juripiga, it's probably drier, where Juripiga is a bit more sweeter.
Yeah. No, this is actually very dry. You can tell, and these grapes are very dry, and you can tell this is dry, even though it's got sweetness to it. When you can feel it on your tongue. I learned the other day that if you put some of this in your mouth and you swirl it around your mouth, you swallow it. And if you put your head forward, you'll feel the saliva coming down to the front of your mouth.
That's funny. I just when I was talking, then it was like
Yeah. That tells you that it's actually quite dry. It's surprising, and that makes you want to come back.
Isn't it, Michael? It's like a sherry. I think it tastes a bit like a sherry.
It is. It does lend itself to the sherry world, doesn't it? And the whole festive vibes of sherry, no question. Mrs. M's just popped in to nick some cake and gone again, right?
Yeah,
she's loving the pan.
She's taking the good stuff, I tell you.
But the whole vibe, starting with, it is like Christmas Day. rolled
It
into
is.
one little hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're starting with the fizz,
Bring the
having the
kids down, let's
Madeira.
have some presents.
No. We've got fruit cake. I mean, this is really special, Kat. So thank you. Really, really love that.
Beautiful.
And there's this whole, it's just like a little snapshot of Christmas, isn't it? Here on the 5th on the 4th of December.
Brilliant timing.
So great
Fabulous.
selections. And I mean, it's a beautiful bottle, the fizz as well, isn't it? With a little medallion on the front of it. Absolutely love that. And on offer at the moment at, what's the Lidl's for $7.49. I mean, I was in one of the other supermarkets and I saw a bottle of Moe on the, I think it was Pingados. Moe on the shelf is €46.
Yeah.
Now,
rather have that.
is there a justifiable difference, €40 between Moe and Chandon?
Certainly is. I used to go to a vineyard in Rouen all the time for to pick up champagne, and it's just the amount that you charge. So the guy I used to get the champagne from gave all the rubbish grapes to Moe, right? So anything he had left over, anything that was pants, he'd give off to them. And just if you've got that DOP, you've got a license to print money. It just depends on the region you're in.
It's a marketing thing, then, is it?
Well, yeah, it's. I'll give you a really awful example of how this is quite rude and I think a really hilarious story that he told me. So he used to. He was an old French guy. He was lovely. He had a big champagne vineyard in Rouen, and he used to. When you were saying about the Riddlers expelling the sediment, and usually you put a liqueur in to flavour your champagne, yeah. Well, he had lots of bodies pop up on his land because of the basically the war of attrition, essentially, that took place during World War One, meant that corpses from World War One would pop up from the vineyard, right? And he hated his German customers; he couldn't stand them, so he used to urinate in the bottles that he got, and they still ordered it back every year. So what I always find quite amusing is I think sometimes some of the worst wines I've had are the most expensive. I've had some absolutely terribly
very
wines.
I mean, Pete, do you drink cava?
Oh yeah, I'll drink anything, right? but my favourite wines are.
I'll be honest with you, a cava to me quite frequently is better than champagne.
Yeah. I think
I agree.
There's an odd thing about the whole thing is it's quite poncy, and it can be the whole region of Champagne can be a bit. It is just that area, and I've drunk champagne from all of the major vineyards. I've had Grand Crus and all sorts of things, and ultimately you're right. Sometimes you're better off with. Once you've had a few glasses of this, does it really matter?
Does it really matter?
And you have to, and it's worth learning to trust your own discernment, isn't it? Rather than being
I think you're right.
swayed by the stories. Michael, I think you wanted to add something to that.
Yeah, Domaine Chandon is the Chandon has a vineyard in California. They produce a champagne. They call it champagne, but it's spelt differently. And it's called Domaine Chandon, and we've tasted it against Moët and Chandon, and you can't tell the difference. And it's a quarter of the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A quarter of the price because they use the same viniculture.
Yeah.
It's the same. Everything's the same.
Yeah.
And what I've been wanting to say all evening is, who doesn't like a hand turning first thing in the morning? And they still
terrible.
They still do that. This whole thing about using a sword to take the tops off the champagne, is that to get rid of the sediment in the top?
No, that's got nothing to do. That's just showmanship.
Oh, okay. Showmanship. Okay.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. But the whole turning thing and the care that goes into those bottles is amazing. And still, you can get a bottle of fizz in this country for less than €10, which I think is amazing. Yeah. And there will be tours based on this in time, won't there? This will come to the attention of a wider public. And we'll look back on these days as those folks who drank that fizz and knew all about it back in 2023, when the coach loads are going to the Aliança Underground Museum and such places to enjoy this same thing. Oh, Matty's here as well. Boa noite a todos. Hey, Matty. And I love that the Portuguese word for story and history are both historia. It's so true, isn't it? I mean, that's a really good point. Well done, Ubi. Thank you for being here. And Nubian, so much of what people think was typical foods were actually only for specific occasions. And again, that's all part of history, isn't it? And how things get spun. So the bleachers, what do you think of tonight's booze? Did you have both actual selections?
We didn't have both actual ones. I have to admit, we didn't get hold of the Madeira, but we had the Espumante, which I think was awesome. And we haven't had anything to eat like you lot have. So I think we're kind of quite on the way already. And I just had Swarfiga instead, which I thought might be an approximation, but obviously nothing like it. But I'm definitely going to buy some of the Madeira.
Did you just say Swarfiga?
Yeah, probably Swarfiga.
I love a drop of Swarfiga every now and then. Yeah.
Here's a little test for you to see if your sparkling wine is any good. If you've got about 1.5 inches left in the bottle, leave it in the bottle with the top off overnight. And if you pour a glass and it sparkles, you know you've got a good sharp sparkling wine.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen, Michael. Me and Chinese tonight, aren't we? Is that a mint?
Oh, sorry.
Maybe I'll try that another time. So thanks, Diane. Diane, do you want to say anything? Do you want to add anything? What did you think of the fizz and the Madeira? Diane.
Oh, I love it. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all feeling pretty mellow. No, I can tell. I can tell. Chinese Terry, over to you. Now, I know the enzymes of the Chinese make processing of alcohol quite a troublesome matter.
Problematical.
Problematical. I struggle with this myself with my Chinese ancestry.
I can tell by the way you walk.
What do you make of this evening's beverages?
Well, first of all, to kick my monologue off, I want to ask my.
Shall I go put the kettle on?
My lovely, beautiful wife, who's sat there very patiently, right? Because we always discuss drinks and etc. Is basically, what was your favourite, babes? Because she walked in beauty like the night of cloudless climes
look at
and
you.
starry skies.
Get a room.
Bless. Too. Probably the bubbly.
You like the bubbly?
Yeah, I'm finding the Madeira a little bit sweet.
Yeah. It is sweet. However, I like the bubbly. The bubbly's fab. But I've got to be honest with you. Have I got to give some marks?
No, there's no marking.
Okay, I think
everyone's a winner.
My favourite is probably the Madeira. Okay, now the gateway to this, because I'm kind of like juggling, thinking, okay, Spanish sherry, yeah, Madeira. Madeira's a bit thinner. Spanish sherry's a bit thicker and more vitriolic. However, I think the cake gave the gateway. Didn't it?
It did. It was a
seriously, cake
wasn't
gave
it?
a gateway to flavour,
yeah,
which I wasn't expecting. So I'm going to give that. If we're looking at about 5, the scale of 5, I'm going to give that probably 4.8.
Get in.
Yeah, with the cake.
Wow.
Okay,
Nice
I don't know what it's going to be
Chinese.
like without the cake, but the cake.
Cake did it tonight, didn't it?
I tell you what I loved was Michael's analogy with the oats about the old the white sparkle here. I did like it. I'm going to be honest with you. It was probably my taste buds. It doesn't stand out amongst, I whittled on about Cava and stuff like that. I know it's terrible, but it in taste terms, it's mais ou menos, more or less. Yeah, it's fair to middling. But Michael's analogy about the OT smell.
He's given us a lot to think about, hasn't he, Michael?
Yeah,
he
knows
knows his
a lot
stuff.
to think about. Fair go to you, Mike. There, it is. It's
You really are getting your oats, aren't you?
I
Then
want to get my oats.
oats.
So,
Yeah.
Oats is different to oats.
Is it? Who knows? I'm from Birmingham. We grow them. It's an excellent aroma.
Chinese loves it.
It's
So
interesting.
It's got a Chinese
He's winding
stamp
me up
of
now.
approval all over it.
Very nice.
This image is available.
on mugs.
I'm getting a t-shirt. I'm getting a t-shirt.
Are you sure you're my brother? What is going on?
I Actually, it's
Okay.
come on.
They do look very similar. don't they?
Absolutely love it. Terra de Demos, if that's what it's called, the lovely fizz here. It's been brilliant to revisit. I remember you and I, Linda, loved this, didn't we? First time round, and we love the fizz. Fizz does the biz every time, and Madeira to be introduced to that. And little confession, I couldn't find the one that we were meant to get, so I got Pingados's own because I refused a couple. What is it, Blandleys or something? There was one
Blandies.
Blandies.
Blandy.
All the others are sweet. That sounds Chinese, doesn't it? Blandies.
Spanish Blandy.
This is Pingados's own Madeira, which is a mayo dose. So not the full-on sweetness, but very, very good for £6 a bottle, €6 a bottle. Absolutely loving it tonight. And if Ben Austin was here with us, he'd be encouraging us to have the Espumante, wouldn't he? Which is a fizzy Madeira, like a cocktail of both. We didn't get there tonight, but the night is young, Chinese. We might try that a little bit later.
It certainly is, sir.
So Michael and Kat, thank you. Thank you so much. Fancy a Peking duck? Cockney rhyming slang.
Why not?
So back to you, the Whitbys.
Volunteered for
The Whitbys. Would you care to conclude the evening for us, having invited us to this absolutely wonderful feast of tastes and flavors? Thank you so much.
Great. No, I think I've just poured a little bit more of this, and it's still there. That oasty nose, it's quite nice. I mean, this isn't going to win any gold prizes, but it's certainly great porch wine.
Yeah, and we'd have it on Christmas morning, wouldn't we? We'd be thinking to ourselves, $7.49 a bottle at Lidl at the moment. You can't go wrong, can you?
No,
you can't go wrong.
Well done for that price.
And the Madeira,
Michael? Madeira,
It's a revelation.
this is, when you consider Madeira in England 30 years ago, and in Germany, they were using this stuff for cooking just about.
In a sauce.
It was shipped to England and Germany with salt and pepper in it.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
For cooking.
Wow.
So people wouldn't buy it and drink it because they were selling it for like £1 a bottle.
Yeah.
Incredible. I bet there were some really cool guys in the park who rumbled that little ruse and were drinking it in the park nonetheless.
That was the same time that we had Yates's wine.
Yates's.
So we'll go back to the Flanders and Swan Song. Have some Madeira.
Yes, I mean it's there in the history of drinking, isn't it, Madeira? Absolutely, right from the Constitution, and the Thanksgiving memory every year of the Madeira. That's fantastic. Kat, what do you have to say about these two?
What?
Yeah, you, Kat, go ahead.
You've missed somebody out who really loved this stuff.
Go on.
Winston Churchill said, "Drinking Madeira is like drinking liquid history."
Yes.
It was one of his favorite tipples because it had such an amazing long history.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, interesting.
What a great story.
Well, for me, I think the Madeira was a revelation because I had not had it before, to my recollection.
No.
And we are usually sherry drinkers at Christmas time, but I think Madeira will be our tipple of Christmas this year.
Well said. So this it's like a Christmas conversion, isn't it? So we've got the Portuguese fizz in the morning and throughout. Will you have it with a cube of ice, maybe? I mean, that's been the vogue in the UK, isn't it? Drinking sherry with ice. Would you do that with the Madeira?
This stuff is supposed to be served at about 14, 15 degrees anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
So it's way warmer now. I think when I hit this with the thermometer before, it was in the 60s. So what's that? 18? No, like 16. So it was quite a bit warmer than it needed to be.
Penny's dropped with Matty.
Let me help.
Right. You're going to have it at the optimal temperature.
Thank you, everybody, for a fabulous evening. And it's our first chance to say to everybody, Boas Festas, Feliz Natal.
Boas Festas.
Boas Festas.
Felicio Natal. Whatever you say.
No, you got to.
Happy birthday, Linda.
Happy birthday, Linda. This is our Christmas party.
Yeah.
So who knows how this evening might end. Chinese, you're in for a treat, mate. Take care. All the best. And we'll see you in January on the 8th with the best of
2019.
Cheers, the Whitbys. I'm going to eat some more of this cake. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.